Yeah.
So, welcome to Kiki and Kibbitz, Jon Walters. How
Hello,
are you
how you
today?
doing?
Very
I'm
well,
very well.
thank you. It's 4th of July, and we were just talking about the U.S. demanding its independence from Britain, and then,
Yeah, independence.
woo! I saw a picture
Happy
Woo!
yesterday.
fourth.
It was a meme online that said how an American in London celebrates Independence Day, and they were pouring a bottle of Lipton iced tea into the Thames. I was pissing myself.
That's
Anyway,
actually really
we
funny. That's really
right?
funny.
I know.
Yeah.
We were just talking to you about your visa and what's up with that, and can you, when are you coming to the US? And you were explaining right when I
Well,
started to record.
yeah, basically, I grew up in a town where we just got drunk and had fights, and I played rugby my whole life, so it was like there were a couple of rugby teams, and so we grew up brawling, and there was always beef with other people, and your friends would get a kick in one week and then you'd go and give someone a shoe in. Like, it was like that was the
Yeah.
town I grew up in. And um and um and years of being living in a scrappy town, I did get into trouble. And one time I got into trouble, it was actually more serious. I had a fight with like 3 or 4 guys. So I had a fight with them. They got injured. I went home and I got into trouble, and they were like, "Oh no, it means you probably won't go to America now." And I was like, "America? Like, I've never even been to Disneyland Paris.
Right?
Like, I don't know anyone who's ever been to America. I didn't know people who had cars. Like, that was the sort of town I grew up in.
Wow. Would you
Yeah,
have
it was like
horse and
this.
buggy?
Where I grew up, where I grew up, it was a lot of single mums. Like,
Yeah.
we considered someone rich when they had a mum and a stepdad. We were like, they're the posh kids. We didn't even like them. We were like,
You were like, wow, you guys are rich. You have
yeah,
two
yeah, yeah.
parents.
There was one kid, Sean Pete, like, and I'm allowed to say his name because he's a drug addict and alcoholic now, so he won't hear this.
Oh,
Um,
goodness.
and the thing is, right, his mum was a nurse. He had a stepdad, right? And in his house, he had cans of Coke. So we were like, "Why you low?" We used to go around his house to get cookies. Like, that's what it was like. So we grew up scrappy and poor, and when I found out, like, I'd got into trouble, and now I was actually getting a proper criminal record, because before that I'd only had like juvenile stuff. I actually was like, so what? Like, like,
Who's going to
so,
fucking
like,
America? Why?
yeah,
Those
yeah. And they were
ungrateful
like,
bastards who pulled out,
Exactly. You couldn't care less at the time. You were
right?
like, so
yeah,
what?
I was like, yeah, yeah. And somebody asked, "Oh, but you won't be able to get a job in Australia." I was like, "A job in Australia?" Like, I knew people who had gone to like France or gone to like Magaluf on holiday and got a bar job. Like, I didn't know people who were like working in. There was no such thing as the internet. People didn't have social media. Like, I wouldn't. I don't know. America was just something that I'd never even considered. So I was just like, "Oh yeah, big deal." Then about 10 years later, I met Rachel, and I was like, fuck.
If only I'd listened to my mom.
Yes.
Yeah. So and I remember speaking to Rach, and like, I knew she was the one. I thought, I'm gonna marry you, right?
You
And
knew that from the beginning.
yeah, from the very first time I saw her,
Aw, how
right?
sweet.
And then I was like, so where are you from? She said, America. I was like, fuck. So I said, like,
You're like, any place but America.
yeah. So we were speaking, and I said to her, I can't go to America. I've got a criminal record. And she said, I'd be all right. You're not a murderer or anything. I said, no, I'm not. I'm not a criminal. I just have a criminal record. Like, and there's a difference. Like, and there is a difference. Now, I don't.
Please
you guys
explain.
Have this, right.
Because I'm a criminal with no record. Right. So explain the subtleties.
Everybody knows.
Same here.
Everybody knows there have been really high profile cases of innocent people being charged, convicted, and arrested, charged, and convicted of crimes they didn't commit, right? But they got really heavy sentences because they pled not guilty, but they got found guilty because the people said they were guilty, and they ended up serving really long sentences, right?
Right.
That's one extreme. And if people can if people understand that people get wrongfully charged or arrested for really high profile crimes like murder, then people have to understand that some people get wrongly convicted of really petty crimes.
Like
But the problem
beating up
is,
rival rugby
like,
teams.
yeah, or punching somebody who sexually assaulted your girlfriend, right?
Yeah, right.
Right,
right.
exactly.
Right. But the problem is, when you get arrested or charged, everyone's got a right to plead not guilty, right? You have a right to defend yourself in a court. However, if you say guilty, you can get a suspended sentence, or you can get off with a fine. Like, and it's not actually, there's no crime that says you can't punch people in the face. That's not actually a crime. But the thing about it like this, right? Because it could be easy that they could just put in the law no punching anyone in the face, right? No, they could. No,
I got you. Right? But there are reasons
listening,
and self-defense.
Yeah.
I'm listening very carefully.
So the law is you're not allowed to injure or hurt somebody unlawfully, right? So they determine what's lawfully. So if you were being attacked or murdered, or somebody was breaking into your house, or you were actually or somebody else in danger, you could go and punch them in the face. Right. And if they died or went blind or broke their jaw or broke their nose, then that's their problem. That's not a crime, right? So actually punching someone isn't a crime in itself, right? So when you've punched somebody for a reason, and then you end up in court and they say, if you say you're guilty, we'll let you go on a suspended sentence. And anyone would say, yeah. Anyone would say, okay, nobody's going to drag this out for a 6-month trial when they could just be done and dusted. And that's what I meant. Like, when I've got convictions, and I have been convicted of crimes, right?
Right.
One, I was a youth. So when I was under 18, I beat up 2 men who were beating up my friend. So I beat them up. And we were scared. We were only 18, 17. I should have been self-defense for a third person, right? But we were so young and stupid. We just pled guilty at the very first opportunity, and they gave us some community service and let us go. That was my first conviction.
And that makes sense, because that's my son's age now. My son's 17. And that's probably something my son would want to do. Just forget about it. I'll take the community service and just chalk it up.
It's not a problem.
Another
time I got beaten up by 3 bouncers in a taxi rank, and then months later another one saw me and pushed me, so I punched him in the face. And when they came round and they arrested me, I just went, I slapped them in the face. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. So I got a fine for that.
You're an honest criminal.
Exactly. At least he's honest, Brianna, you got to give it to him.
I got a fine for that. And another time I was at college, and I got into a quite serious fight with like a group of guys. But the way it's always been, like, I've had friends that have been killed, that have been like kicked to death, right? So if you end up in a fight with a few guys, you don't know how many are going to join.
Right.
You might end up on the floor, and you've got to get off the floor quick, right? Because you are going to get kicked and stamped, right? And you need to win that fight at all costs.
Sure.
You need to make sure you deal with that situation and then go home. Like, that is the only thing I've ever been interested in doing.
Not dying.
Yes.
And the police will say something. The police will say, like, well, if you were scared for your safety, why didn't you run away? And I'm like, yeah, but there's fight or flight. It's a proven thing, right? Some people go into high alert and wipe the floor with everyone, and other people run away. And I'm just one of those, like, not run away people. So it is what it is, right? So I've never lied. I've always put my hands up and gone, yeah, I did that, right? But I did it for these reasons. And the last time I got into trouble, I just said, yeah, like, it is what it is. I didn't mean to injure anyone. They did what they did. I did what I did. And I just pled guilty. And then I got a suspended sentence. And I was like, I had my bags packed for prison. I had some deck of cards and some books and some pans. I don't know what you could take. Like I had toothbrushes, roll of deodorant. Like
He
I didn't
was
know.
all ready to take responsibility and go off.
No,
to
I
prison.
was. I had my bag packed.
You know,
and the
he
judge,
was all
and the-
ready.
And the judge said to me, he said, Jon, he said, you've impressed me with your demeanor and you, right? He said, you're obviously doing well. You're a great athlete at college and stuff. He said, but you can't take the law into your own hands. He said, you know that. He said, and you're taking it seriously. I can see you've got your bags packed for prison. And I was like, yep. Like, I didn't know what else to do. I was just like, I didn't want to be not prepared.
You know?
So, yeah, so I went prepared, and the judge just said, like, you could have killed someone if you punched them in the face. People have died. He said, I've prosecuted people for manslaughter. He said, you do know it's serious. He said, I can see you packed your bags. He said, you took care of natural justice that night, and it's my job to take care of criminal justice. So I'm giving you a suspended sentence. I was like,
what is
okay.
Suspended sentence? I don't actually know what that means. I mean, I've heard it a lot, but I don't know what it means.
I think the term in America is conditional discharge.
Yes.
So basically they said to me, I can go home. The end. And I was like, so I just signed this bit of paper to say I did it, and then you let me go. And they were like, yep. I was like, fucking get me a pen. Fucking sign me up. Like, what the fuck is, like, so I signed up. I signed it. I agreed. I genuinely didn't ever mean to hurt anyone. It's not like I said to my mates, oh, let's go injure someone tonight. Like, it was never planned. It just happened. And then I got off, and I was like, I'm high and dry. But knowing that I'd got into a couple of fights, and I got into a fight with the bouncer, and knowing that I'd got into this fight at college, and they were the ones that these were fights that ended up going to court, right? And I get so much shit from so many like trolls and stuff on social media. They're like, yeah, you fucking criminal, you criminal. I don't think, yeah. Do you realize that under the Malicious Communication Act, you trolling me is a crime? Like, you're a criminal, right? I'm not outside people's houses or sending people nasty emails.
Right.
Like, I'm not.
You're not like
bullying.
me. I smuggled cannabis butter into Hawaii and I got arrested. And they let me go. I totally was ready too. I was like, Dad, you better keep my purse. I was for my father. It wasn't even for me, because my
you never told me this story.
Would you have not? If I did, would you still be podcasting with me?
Of course I would. Are you
That's
fucking
amazing.
kidding
Do
me?
you put it on butter, or do you rub it on your skin? What is it, like cocoa butter?
No,
Over your skin?
no. It's
like
it's an edibles. Yeah,
Oh, you put
but
it on your
homemade.
toast.
I made it at home for my alcoholic father, who was in the hospital over and over again from alcoholism. And he promised me if I brought him like edible weed as an alternative, that he would stop drinking. So again, like you, I had noble motives, but I did get arrested.
Sneak him cannabis and almost
Yeah,
got him arrested.
but I was on like a tiny Hawaiian island, and I was like, well, Dad, you better hold on to my purse, I guess. Like,
So-
looks like I'm going down. But they are like, well, this 40-year-old's mom, we don't think she's a threat. So they just sent me on my way.
Yeah. I bet lunchtime they were all like this in the canteen, like, check this
Well,
out.
yeah, I told him. The guy's like, so how did you make it? I'm like, what? You guys are
Asking you for the
narcotics
recipe,
officers, and you don't know how to make cannabis butter? And then when I was they're like, well, we're going to have to keep your possessions, sign here. And I'm like, you should try this. It's really good.
That's
So there you go.
But there is. I mean, there are criminals. There are people.
Right.
who
No,
spend
there
their
are
lives-
criminals. Yes.
Criminals
That
as
should
far
be
as-
locked
as
up
far
and
as I
kept
see
out
it,
of
right?
places. Yeah.
Right, a criminal is somebody who personally or self gains from disadvantaging other people. So stealing, fraud, theft, like scamming,
Yeah.
all those things, I think, are crimes of moral turpitude. Planning to do something, those crimes of violence, like throwing acid in people's face, kidnapping people, rape, murder, all those things, I think, are crimes, right?
Yeah.
And then there's me, and I'm not a criminal. I'm not a criminal at all. Like,
You
but
just
I've got
have a
criminal.
temper.
No, I don't even know. Like some people, I know some
Brianna,
people.
he just fight for the greater good.
He does.
I know some
it.
people.
I see that. He's like a noble fighter.
No, I know
Yes.
some. I know that some people are hot-headed, and a lot of people think that aggression is.
Me, I'm a hothead.
A lot of people think aggression and anger are the same thing, and like I think in their head they get mad, they get frustrated, and then they get angry, and then above anger they think it's violence, right? But I'm not. I'm
No.
not an angry person. Not even angry at all. I wasn't even angry at the guys I beat up. Like, I just beat them up because what they did. I wasn't like
Street
seeing
justice.
rage, right? I wasn't seeing
Exactly.
rage. I just think that there's some things in life which like I don't know. I think there's right and wrong, and
No, there
and
is.
maybe I've not always been the best judge at it, and maybe I like, you
And
know,
that's my excuse too.
maybe
For judgment across the board,
maybe-
always.
yeah, maybe stuff wasn't always proportional,
Yeah,
maybe
right.
maybe it wasn't, but no, like I think I see aggression as the ability inside me or inside to make something happen. Like if somebody was breaking into my house, I know that they wouldn't get in, right? I would do everything anything I needed to make sure they didn't do that.
Yeah.
If somebody was threatening me or attacking my family, I
Right.
would use that aggression and I would just end it.
Yeah.
And then make it
Of
safe.
course.
And then when it's
Of
safe,
course.
it'd be fine. They wouldn't be angry. I wouldn't be going up the street shouting at people and in a rage like that. So I think I wanted to make that distinction because I think a lot of people in their head, they see it as mad, anger, violent, when it's not like that. Not when you grew up where I did, where you just had to make sure that you never ended up being beaten up.
Yeah.
So that is
Yeah,
it.
no, exactly. I agree with you. I think
Yes,
that
so
showing
do I.
weakness in certain environments is dangerous. So,
Yeah.
so but bottom line, does that not come off your record at some point? And or does
No,
that even matter when it comes to a visa, and especially now?
No, well, it's tricky. I mean, I know in America, after someone's been good for a while, they can go back to the judge and they can get it expunged, and that's a big
Yeah.
thing. A lot of people look back at their records and get their
Yeah.
records expunged. But in the UK, our records are like records, right? Because we have the Rehabilitation Act. So that means the 1975 Rehabilitation Act means that after double the amount of time of your punishment, so if I go to prison for a year, 2 years after my sentence finishes, I'm a free man. I don't have to tell people. I can apply for a job. I don't have to tell anyone. My conviction would then be considered spent. So in the eyes of society and the law, I did my time and I'm as good as everybody else now. Right. So I apply for a job and it says, do you have any unspent convictions? And I say no. Right.
Okay.
I don't have to tell them. I'm free. I'm in the clear. It means that people who have convictions don't carry it around with them forever. Now that's a little bit different in the US because you're trying to rent a house and they do a background check and they say, no, we're not going to rent you this house because you've got a criminal record. We don't have that in the UK. But the payoff is that I don't get discriminated against because of my record, but the record's still there. Like it doesn't go away. So there's no expungement. There's no getting rid of it. Like it's there forever. But the US does have a waiver program, or I say waiver program. The US does have a waiver. I mean, for instance, Nelson Mandela was convicted of terrorism, right? He went to prison for 25 years for terrorism. Him and his friends actually killed someone. And then later he turned his life around and then changed South Africa, become president of South Africa. If he applied for a visa to the US, they would say, have you ever been convicted of a crime? Have you ever been convicted of terrorism? He would say, yes, right?
Yes.
So the US embassy would say, unfortunately, we can't give you like a visa because of your background, but there is a waiver, which basically it's an application to the Secretary of State. And it says, hi, I know I've done this thing, but these are the things which make me different, or these are the reasons why I think that I should be allowed in. So that is what we have to do probably after my visa interview. So it'd be a case of going to the interview, them saying, "Oh, you've got a criminal record," and I go, "Yeah, but I'd like to file a visa, a waiver." And that's the point that they can look at me as a whole. They can look at my family. They can look at the reasons why I should be in the US, and then they decide whether I'm a threat to American life.
Jon is a threat to American life, Brianna.
I find you a threat. I'm joking.
Don't say that. That might leak out.
You could come stay with me anytime. I trust you completely.
I will let you come stay with me, Jon, but I have no room. I'm like bursting at the seams already.
I have a guess. I just feel like I could hold my own with you. That's all.
I could definitely hold my own with him, but I have nowhere to put him, Brianna.
So that's my criminal record, and that's why,
but have you applied for your visa at all, though? Have you applied for the spousal visa?
Well, we applied. It took us a year to save because
it's expensive as hell.
I think your plan B should always be stronger than your plan A, right? So our plan A is apply for the visa, and the plan B is to have enough money to pay for a lawyer to have the waiver. So we saved for a year, and we saved the 11,000 we would need for the lawyer to do it all for us. So we spent money that we didn't need to, and we had so many people go, immigration doesn't cost 11 grand, only cost me 250. You can go on quickvisa.com and blah blah blah. You can just read the forms. And I'm like, I don't read fucking emails. Like I don't know what they wanted me to say. People thought like we were lying, but it took us a year.
It's not that easy anyway, though.
Even with that.
Well, I was married to a guy, from a British guy, and it took him 6 years to get his visa.
Yeah.
And it was an H-1B visa, like the technology, I mean, but then, and it took forever. So it's not as easy as it might sound. You can apply, sure.
But some people don't realize that I'm applying for a spousal visa, which is a full immigration visa.
Yeah. So it's not a green card, though. Yeah, it's not.
I will get a green card, but it's. I mean, the K1 basically lets people into the US for 3 months.
Right.
But they've got to get married. If they don't get married, then they have to go away, and then you can't work throughout your entire application process until you adjust your status. So you're doing all the application on the inside.
Yeah.
So I'm doing all my application from the outside. Now we managed to save up. Took a year. It took a year for us to save, and then we had to file. I had to fill out some forms. I was like, fucking. There were like 11 years of addresses. I was like, oh my god, like. So I was just like, it was hard work. So then we filed, but we filed we filed just in the summer, but they received it in September 2019, right? September, October, November, December, January 2020. It was like 4 months after we filed. COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then they were like, the embassy's closed, London's closed, go home.
Everything's closed. That's it.
Everything's closed, go home, right? So for the last year and a half, everyone's like, how's your visa going? I'm like, well, we put it in 5 months before COVID. I don't know if they've done many interviews in the last year and a half, but we were expecting a year and a half wait anyway.
Yeah.
So it was a year and a half wait anyway. And then COVID on top, plus a year of people not having any visa applications.
Exactly.
Plus the Muslim ban, because the Muslim bans were retracted by Trump because Trump realized he couldn't do Muslim bans, right?
Unconstitutional,
But what Donald Trump did was quite tricky. They said, oh, they're unconstitutional, you can't stop people. So they said, okay. So they let them apply, or they let them apply for waivers, but they didn't process the waivers. So because there's no law to say how quickly they have to process it. So they put one person on waivers. So all these people from Muslim country applying for waivers because the ban said that you can't stop them. So he said, well, they're allowed waivers. So there's 1 million people from all around the world that were previously banned, all applying for waivers, and the whole system's just jammed up. So
you're just
I'm
waiting.
I'm not holding my breath. Like I'm not expecting anything anytime soon, just because I know there were a load of people in front of me in the queue.
Right.
I know that
this must suck though. Yeah, it must be really hard.
Oh, it's hard.
And you put a lot of effort into trying to keep your relationship with Rachel going and with Lucy. Like you, so you pretty much live your life on US time, right?
Yeah.
In US time zone.
The worst thing about the distance is the time zone. It's not the distance. If it's 5,000 miles or 10,000 miles, it's the time zone that's the killer.
Right. Yes.
But I realized something. The worst thing about it was I would wake up at 7 and Rachel would go to bed at 5 a.m. my time. So I'd wake up 2 hours before she went, or 2 hours after she went to bed. I'll work all day and I'll have my lunch break at 6 or 1 in the afternoon, which was 6 a.m. her time. So I'm at the middle of the day where I'm like, hey, this has happened, that's happened, how you doing? She's just woken up, like I'm just trying to have a coffee. And then I'd get home and she'd drive home from work at 11 o'clock at night. So she'd phone me when she drove home. So I'd stay awake till 12 o'clock at night. We'd have our phone call on the call home. By 1 o'clock in the morning, I was tired, and then I'd go to sleep. But 1 o'clock in the afternoon is only like 6 her time. So once Ella went to bed, she had like all evening to herself, and she was alone, right? And I wouldn't speak to her then from when I went to sleep to the afternoon. So I'd go to sleep at 1 a.m. and the next time I speak to her was like 1 p.m. on my lunch break, which was just half hour. So I was thinking, in the last 12 hours, I've only been able to speak to you for that half an hour. So we're only having like tiny, and it was really hard. So I just
what kind of job do you have?
I was working at that time. I was working in a factory. After I got made redundant, then that job I got laid off. So that was really hard, but I had an amazing epiphany. I can fucking sleep whenever I want, if I didn't have to work for someone at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I got a night shift job working somewhere else.
Okay.
I just thought I'd try it. Yeah. So I started 2 in the afternoon. So I did 2 till 10. So Rachel would wake up at 12, at 6 in the morning, or 5 in the morning. I'd speak to her at 1 o'clock before work. I'd go to work at 2 in the afternoon. I'd work till 10 o'clock at night. She finished at 11 o'clock at night. And then I'd go to sleep at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. It was perfect because I could
What
sleep.
time zone is she in? She's on the
in
East
Mountain.
Coast?
Yeah, no.
Oh, she's mountain. Okay, so yeah.
The one no one ever talks about. People are like,
I know. Because there's like 3
Central.
States.
They're like Central. They're like Eastern. No one ever says.
No.
Yeah,
Tune in
Mountain.
tonight at 8
Because
p.m.
isn't
Mountain
it just
time.
like Colorado? There's like, I don't know, maybe
There's no-
3
there's
states in Mountain
3
time
states.
zone. Where does she live? Colorado though?
No. She's down in New Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico. Yeah, mountain.
It should be called Old Mexico because it used to be in Mexico.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, California should be called Old Mexico North.
Yeah.
North Mexico.
Texas should be called the Oil Mexico Mist.
I think we should just send them back to Mexico. No, I wouldn't wish that on the Mexicans, actually. No offense, Texans. Everyone from Texas just unsubscribed.
Oh,
no. All of our listeners from Texas, we love you. Don't listen to Brianna.
Yeah, we do. Who's the what's his name?
Just kidding.
Who's down in Texas running the show down there? Is that
Ted Cruz?
Ted Cruz.
Oh God,
fuck you, Ted Cruz.
Yeah, fuck you.
Straight up, fuck you.
Fuck you.
I was gonna stir them.
Stir the pot.
I was gonna stir the pot. Ted Cruz. Oh, good old Ted Cruz.
Oh my God, good old Ted Cruz.
I thought Beto
said
O'Rourke
nobody ever.
I was gonna say nobody ever says good old Ted Cruz.
Was that Beto O'Rourke that was gonna like almost challenged him for the Senate race?
Yes. Yeah.
I actually really like Beto.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's a good one. He's a good egg, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, good old Ted Cruz.
Oh.
or Ted Cancun in it. Is that what they call him down there?
Yeah,
Ted
right.
Cancun
Exactly.
Cruz.
See, he knows more about
Yeah, he
American
does.
politics
He
than
knows
than most people here. Because
Yeah, I know
people
everything.
here don't give a flying fuck, apparently.
No, they don't.
That's why Ted Cruz is governor, because they don't
Exactly,
give a flying
because
fuck.
they don't give a flying fuck.
He's
Oh.
a terrible human. He really is.
Yeah, Cancun
I'm not down with
Cruz.
Texas politics. Yeah,
No.
Cancun Cruz.
Yeah, I
Wow.
think that's actually funny.
I
So,
really think we should start like a letter writing campaign and get you in here quick.
Oh, no.
I honestly
we
think we
should. I
need
think
you
we
in
should.
American politics, you know?
Yes,
Like, I think
definitely.
we need your help.
Do you know what? Like, if my visa fails, and I've already got this planned out, right? And it's gonna sound mental, right? But this is my plan. If my visa fails and my waiver fails, I'm gonna join the Liberal Democrats. They're the third party in the UK, right? They have
Okay.
power because they're the third party, right? I'm gonna join the Liberal Democrats, and I'm a liberal. I'm a liberal at heart, Liberal Democrat all the way
Same
through.
here.
But the-
I'm like
but the
left
Same
of
here.
liberal.
Yep.
But the Liberal Democrats have a problem that the people in the Liberal Democrats are nerdy, geeky, vegans, right? And there's
Okay,
about
same
three
here.
of them. Yeah, there's about three. There's about three of them, right? There's about three of them. They don't use plastic, right? And they're really
They don't use plastic.
they're soft, right? They don't
Yeah.
have any.
They don't get in
have
trouble
any
for
grit.
fighting ever.
They don't, right? They don't have any grit. They don't have.
They're like peace,
they
love,
get
and
walked
tofu,
over.
dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my
Kumbaya
plan
and all
is-
that other shit, right? Brianna?
Yeah, all that combined.
Like where I live in California, basically.
So
everyone.
this is my plan, right? I've
Yeah.
been interested in politics my whole life, right? All world politics, all over the place. Like, here's my plan: join the Liberal Democrats, become leader of the Liberal Democrats, right? Throw some F-bombs into a few people, turn some heads. Populism is a big thing, right? But
Yeah.
populism on the right is like someone going, yeah, fuck the foreigners coming here, taking our jobs, right? And if you go, no, fuck the child molesters, fuck the pedos, fuck the rapists, fuck the domestic violence, vote for me, and I'll make minimum wage £20 an hour, and I'll give you 5 extra weeks, or I'll give you 2 extra weeks holiday, so you have 6-week compulsory. Like, and on top of that, you go, and I'd like energy efficient light bulbs to be law, and I'd like there to be more rehabilitation. I've come from the gutter, I've come from the streets, I can talk like scumbags.
There
You're
you
like
go.
a left-wing populist, but like a left-wing populist.
But
Yeah.
but in an activisty sort of like F you, F the system, because a lot of people that aren't in the political sphere don't actually understand it all, so they can't have that debate. So the people they have representing them are professional politicians that went to school and did
Right.
like
This is like the Green Party here, by the way.
like Boris Johnson. Yeah, the Green Party probably has about 0 candidates.
Well, yeah,
Um,
and they don't do anything in politics until there's an election. So no one ever, they just run Jill Stein every year. Everyone's like, who the fuck is Jill Stein?
Yeah.
Yes.
But over here,
Exactly.
I was thinking, if you were to have that populist left, right?
Yeah.
There's a
Mhm.
route in, because there are people that like I can throw F's in front of people, right? And there's stuff which I don't like. I don't like fox hunting, right? I don't like mass incarcerations. I don't like crime either, you know. But
Yeah.
you know, I would just shake it, right? So my plan, this might sound a bit far-fetched. If I don't get a visa, I'll become leader of the Liberal Democrats, get a wedge, maybe a couple of seats. In a 2-party system, I'll be able to like split the house with my party. I'll be able to have a little meeting with one person or the other person. I get into power, and then basically I say, we need to renegotiate our visa waiver program with the US, because it doesn't seem to be very fair. Doesn't seem to be very fair. And then I ask for an appointment where I become ambassador to the UK, right? Then I get diplomatic immunity. Next thing you know, I'm on a plane. Chug, chug, chug. Where do you want your office? I'll work from home in New
Oh,
Mexico.
there you go.
Boom.
I can see this happening now. I totally can see it happening.
I can see the plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's my plan. Take over a political party, become leader of the political party, put pressure on the 2 other parties by having like the swing vote in hanging the house, and then ask for an appointment of American Diplomat, because they have immunity, don't they?
Right.
They can,
Yeah.
you can run people over with a diplomatic immunity and they go over.
I like it. It sounds like
That's
a
my
good
plan.
plan to
I
me.
like it too. Yeah.
And that's a very short answer. Very short question.
A very
How's
short
your,
answer,
how's
yeah.
your visa going? And we got here
it's-
from there.
Hey.
So
It's
it,
going like that.
you
But
you
that's just-
sound
that's just-
extremely intelligent to me, and
I'm not. I'm
So-
actually. I'm not.
no, you seem very
I'm
well educated and very
I-
intelligent. But I know that you also like to talk shit, and let's
do
be
talk
real.
shit.
That's why we have you on this podcast.